Welcome to Cricket for Texans. We're going to go over the most basic information so that you can follow along when we go watch this first match of the World Cup. Cricket started in Surrey, England sometime around 1550 because everything kind of looked like this and they didn't have anything better to do. But it didn't really matter until we get to today because now we discovered it, so it's American and we're ready to go root for our team. The first thing we need to know about is the field. It's a big field, there's a lot of people running around, but really we only need to concern ourselves with the boundary and the pitch. The boundary is, like it sounds, the boundary around the outside. It's like a little curb trying to get the ball over the boundary so that we can score big runs. The pitch, that's the middle of your field where the batters and the bowler, which is their pitcher, are working against each other trying to win for their team. So in your cricket match, you've got two teams. Each team has 11 players. You've got one team bowling and one team batting. Put simply, the batting team wants runs and the bowling team wants wickets, which is basically the same as outs. Cricket matches come in a few different shapes and sizes. The biggest ones are called test matches and they can last up to 3 or 5 days. We're not worried about that. We're looking at limited overs matches. A typical one-day match has 40 overs. We're looking at the T20, which has 20 overs. One over has 6 pitches, so 20 overs is 120 pitches, and that's what's called an innings, which is when one team bats. In cricket, one team bats and does all their pitches or overs, and then the other team bats and tries to do better than what the first team did. Let's take a look at the offense. What you've got is the pitch, which has the pitcher, who they call a bowler, and then 2 batters, one on either end. When the bowler throws a pitch, he's trying to knock over the wicket. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. What you've got the batter is he's swinging at the ball. He's trying to make sure it doesn't hit the wicket, and he's also trying to knock it out of the park like a home run. Whenever they hit one, then the batters run back and forth, and every time they run back and forth, that scores a point. So you'll see for a pitch 1 or 2. Very rarely see them run more than that. If it goes that far, then it's probably a boundary, which we'll talk about. You can also see something called a wide, which they score 1 point for that. That's basically like the pitcher throwing a ball in baseball, where it's an illegal pitch. It's not hittable, and so they get a free point for that on the offense. What the batters really want are boundaries. There's 2 different kinds of boundaries depending on how the ball flies. But your most common one is called a 4. And that's because if they hit the ball and he gets all the way to the boundary without being intercepted by the other team, then they get 4 points. The other kind of boundary is called a 6. Everybody loves the 6s. That's what we think of as a full-blown home run, where they knock it out of the park. It clears the boundary without touching the ground and goes out into the stands. I've even seen them clear the whole stadium on one that I watched in New Zealand. So that's pretty exciting. In cricket, the batters have to be in pairs. You've got 11 players on each side. So if the defense can get 10 outs, which they call wickets, then it's over. Doesn't matter how many overs or pitches are left. They've got the outs, and so that stops. So if you can get that, then you stop the game. But first, let me talk about a dot ball real quick. That's kind of like a ball in baseball. The batter doesn't swing at it, but it's not really an illegal pitch. He could have hit it, and he just didn't want to. There's no real penalty for it. It's a wasted pitch. So they don't get a chance to score, but it's not necessarily a bad thing for the defense. In fact, they got a pitch out without any runs being scored, so they're pretty happy about it. But what they're really after are wickets. There's 3 different types of wickets primarily. They're called runouts, catches, and stumps. Your run out is when the offense hits the ball and they're running back and forth to score runs, and the defense tries to throw it and knock the wickets down, and then if they can do that before the batter gets across the line with their bat, then they get a wicket or an out. Catches are just like they seem. If they catch it in the air, then that's an out. Stumps is really what they're going for, which is the pitcher or the bowler just throws the ball down there, the batter misses it, and he knocks the wicket down, and then they get one that way, and that's pretty exciting. They like that. It doesn't happen very often. There's one other kind of wicket. It's called leg before wicket. That's kind of the, I would say, controversial one. This is the one they argue about. They always go to a replay to make sure they got it right. But basically, if the ball hits the batter in any way before it hits the bat, then that's illegal, because the batter is not allowed to just block the wickets. They have to be trying to hit the ball. So they've got some equipment with microphones and stuff that tries to determine whether the ball hit the bat first. But if it didn't, then the batter's out, just like it got caught or something like that. But it also has to be a ball that would have hit the wickets. So they're looking at it on the different camera angles. If we see this, they'll show it up there from all the different angles. And if it looks like the ball would not have hit the wickets no matter what, then it's not a leg before wicket. Batter gets to stay, and maybe they get a dot ball or a wide. Just depends on the situation. And really, that's it. That's all there is to it. Everything else we can fill in while we're watching. I may or may not know the answer, but enjoy. Watch this a couple times so you're ready. Be sure to click the subscribe button. Thank you.